A one-man gang.
All right, guys, Happy New Year, because it's my first time back this year. But today it's February 26, 2019, and I am your host, Dan Bidondi, for the Dan Bidondi Show and the TruthRadioShow.com. Next to me is host of Demand the Truth, Will Turbitt. Great patriot here, and I can't say enough about this guy here. And welcome back to WBOB as well. And what a year it's been, and I apologize, it's been a couple months since it's been on air on BOB here. It's just like a lot of things going on, whatever. But speaking of a lot of things going on, I mean, we got a lot to talk about, and Will's got a lot to talk about too, especially with our governor here in the state of Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo, Mrs. Consul on Foreign Relations Governor, a globalist deep state governor here we got in Rhode Island. We got a lot of things to talk about. I mean, like, they want to push abortion up to birth, tax the beaches now. I mean, it's ridiculous. All these anti-gun bills they're pushing out, and they're going to fail again because the resistance is very strong here in Rhode Island. And so much other stuff, like, it goes deep. With 45 missing kids for DCYF. I mean, there's just so much. We hope to get everything out today, but I don't even know where to begin, man. But Will, if you want to go quick intro yourself too. People should know who you are, but
yeah, so I'm just a regular dude that got really upset to the fact that they were contaminating our atmosphere, poisoning our food with GMOs, poisoning our water with chemicals. We're in the longest, most illegal, unconstitutional wars in U.S. history. Nobody's protesting. Our Bill of Rights is gone. The NSA spies and everything we do. We're $21 trillion in debt, at least. There's kids being trafficked all over the place on our dime. And I said, you know what? I want to throw my dice in the game and say, hey, you know what? I want my life to mean something. I don't want my tombstone to say, hey, I just sat here and did nothing or played video games my whole life. I wanted to say that, hey, at least I gave a try. And I can thank that to Dan Bidondi. Dan Bidondi has been out there for years, decades, and confronting people, asking the hard questions that the media won't ask. And I saw this guy and some other people out there. And, I mean, these guys were not only just confronting politicians, but sifting through the documents, going through the hearings. And these guys were there documenting everything, and the power to shoot a camera is much more stronger than it is to shoot a gun. And Dan just really inspired me because he's, you know, just a guy from the smallest city in the smallest state, and he's already changed the world. Dan Bidondi has changed the world multiple times. People always come up to me, and I always try to catalyze people to take action about things like this. And people are like, oh, well, what could I do, Will? I'm just one person. Well, I always tell them, hey, Dan Bidondi, he's just one person. I don't think he has any reptilian blood. I don't think he's a superhuman that I know of, but he's a guy from the smallest state in the smallest city in that small state, and he's changed the world. He's the reason that false flag is so big. He had that trending on the internet because he broke up a press conference for days. 3 of them. Three press conferences, too, that I saw, probably another third one. And that's what I'm saying. So anybody can go out there and do that. So I just want to encourage the listeners to take peaceful action and try to change things. And thanks to Dan Bidondi and BOB for having me back here as well. I mean, this is the place where I all started, and thanks to Dan. Dan's the one that said, hey, they had an open spot at BOB back in the day, and he was like, hey, come bring on Will. So I owe a lot of, anybody watching me here, I owe a lot of even just being out there to Dan Bidondi, and he's one of the best guys I ever met. We don't agree on every single thing, but, I mean, this guy's a true patriot. This guy's changed the world, so.
Thank you. And I interviewed you. You said you want to come with me on one of my InfoWars adventures. Yeah. So I brought him along, and he did a nice interview on the Federal Reserve. And I'm like, dude, you belong on the radio, man. You got the voice. You speak articulate and better than I could. I agree with that. So you belong on the radio, man. And you have a hell of a show. I love it. Demand the Truth. And but, man, and I'm so glad because when I first started, it was just me, Adam Cole from We the People, and Nathan Florence from We Are Change. Me and Nathan Florence joined together part of We Are Change. That's when I first started. And at the time, we felt alone, man. It was just like 2 of us. Adam had some issues going on. So it was just 2 of us, then me when Nathan moved out. So I'm the only one in Rhode Island running around. And with Kevin LaPrade, too, he came in later. But running around, confronting these people, I'm like, why isn't people doing anything about this stuff? Then Will joins along. He's out there on fire. Then Joe Orga, And what's his buddy there?
Enrique and Selmo Torres. He's from Auditing America. Shout out to Auditing America.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. And Tim and all the other guys. If you want to mention all the guys in Rhode Island here, man, because my hat's off to all you guys going out there.
Yeah, shout out to Chase. Chase has been coming with me lately. He's a real patriot. He's been dedicating money and his own time to come in here and help me research and do things. He's a great person. One other quick shout out too. Shout out to Dale out there in New Jersey. It's her birthday, and she's a big time collaborator with the Man the Truth. Sends me tons of info. Really, really great friend. So shout out to Dale there too.
Yeah, and everybody joining us, thank you so much. And but yeah, before we get going, I just wanted to give a shout out and my hat's off to all you people out there fighting. I mean, like, it's amazing, all the people now coming out, just taking action, and I love it. And I just hope by next year this time, we have twice as more people. And we need more shows like this. And I know a lot of people can speak a lot better than me. That's why I encourage people, get on the air, get off your butt, get on the air, and do something. You know, speak out, take action for yourselves. Grab a camera, confront these son of a bitches at the State House. You put them in their place and say, listen, we're your boss. You work for us. We're not gonna bow to your crap. Okay, we're not your slaves, and we're not gonna take your crap. And we're gonna put you on notice of exactly what's going on. And quickly, Thursday, before I forget, Thursday, 3:30 p.m. At the Rhode Island State House, we're having a pro-Second Amendment rally opposing many gun bills. One, they want to try to implement tax, which they failed. And knock on wood, we've been holding gun control back for the last several years because of the resistance here in Rhode Island. Even Democrats love the Second Amendment. Every poll shows it. I mean, you should see the turnout. Last June was 4,000 people in yellow shirts versus 150 moms demand Nazis, and half of those people from Connecticut. All of us were Rhode Islanders. Showing up, 4,000 people, yellow shirts, say, hey, you're not taking our guns.
Well, I just want to say this, too, to the liberals. And one of the things that I try to do on my show is I'm nonpartisan. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican whatsoever. But I like to point out to both sides, because I criticize both sides, and I don't want to be categorized in any box.
Yeah.
But even just for the liberals out there that may be listening, recognize that Gandhi said that the biggest travesty that the British Empire ever did was take the weapons away. Let alone they colonized India for hundreds of years. And that was the biggest thing. Martin Luther King Jr. owned his weapon. And, you know, we have, you know, I know the liberals out there, they hate Trump. And so why would you, and I just say this last point about this, our government has destroyed Native Americans, has destroyed black people, and why would you trust these people? They're $21 trillion in debt, they're trafficking kids. Why would you trust them to be the only owners of guns? I would not. That sounds crazy. I don't want to give all the psychopaths the guns, but that's my quick take on that.
Yeah, and there's something wrong when military and police have more guns than the public right now, but we do, like, there's 100 million estimate, but a little more than that, on record that 100 million Americans that own guns. We have more firepower, more guns, and more people than all our military and police combined. And we're actually the largest standing army on the earth. There's no army on the planet that is more powerful than the American gun owners.
And during World War II, during World War II, I don't know if it was Hirohito or somebody else in the Japanese...
I think it was the Emperor or it was General.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure who it was, but it was a prominent figure in the Japanese hierarchy during World War II. Said, forget the other weapons we had. He said he would never invade mainland U.S. because there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. And it's just a weapon of self-defense. And sometimes liberals want to ban the guns, saying that the guns cause the problems. Well, then in that case, we have to ban all the forks and spoons because they cause obesity. We have to chop off all of the peepees because they cause rapes. I mean, so where do you draw the line? Do we have to... I mean, the thing that kills more people than anything is cars. People die by cars way more than anything, so we just need to ban cars.
Oh, the news came out. I forgot. I think I printed the article. The #1 cause of death worldwide last year, 2018, guess what it was? Abortion. By far. I mean, it doubled everything from drunk driving to guns and everything else. Worldwide, abortion was the #1. The #1 cause of death in 2018, on record.
And let's just jump into that, too, because I, again, want to reach out to some of the people on the left. Let me just say this quickly. People don't realize that abortion... Now, I'm a person that I think that if a girl gets raped, go ahead, you have an abortion. And I'm even kind of liberal and lenient anyways, because people, it's just like the gun laws. If you ban guns, people are going to still get guns. If you ban abortions, people are going to still have abortion. Yeah. That's a separate issue. But, I mean, it's one thing, you know, if you say, oh, maybe this baby's, you know, 1 or 2, even 14 weeks, it's feasible to live outside the womb. Credit to Mrs. Patania over there schooling me on that one. And... so it's one thing if it's a little baby, but now they're actually, the governor of Virginia is talking about keeping them alive after they've given birth and then murdering them. But people need to remember that, you know, it's one thing to say, to have the argument it's a woman's choice, but the bigger picture here is abortion and Planned Parenthood started as a eugenics movement to destroy the black population on record. Margaret Sanger said, black people are like weeds and need to be exterminated. Bill Gates' parents are in it. And there's records upon records upon records. People can actually even call in now and specifically say, hey, can I give my money to have a black baby aborted? They really wanted to destroy the minorities, and they cloak it in something nice and progressive and liberal. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not completely anti-abortion, but people need to understand where this all comes from. Because, and one other thing, I'm ranting, but and you've seen the tapes too, the undercover tapes where these people are talking about selling body parts. Oh, I'm going to sell this for a Lamborghini. Yeah. They're selling babies' body parts. This is another video that came
fetal
out this week.
tissue in the foods and water and everything.
And what is it? Her name Sandra Bullock. She was on Ellen DeGeneres talking about she uses babies' foreskins for her makeup. So this is where your aborted kids are going, to Sandra Bullock's face. Okay? Yep. So, I mean, this is absolutely crazy.
Well, we had our buddy, good friend of me and Will's here, Doc Marquis, God bless his soul.
Rest in peace to Doc Marquis, a mentor to both of us, a great, great man.
Yeah, absolutely. I had him on my show a million times, and one of the last shows we talked about, he exposed Planned Parenthood, you know, the people who started it, Margaret Sanger and all that. What a great show. It's on my YouTube channel, Truth Radio Show. But, man, it's so dark. It really is. I mean, I can't even get into words right now. It'll just take up the whole show. But, man, speaking of darkness, man, if you want to, I know you wanted to go off about Gina Raimondo. The mic's yours, man.
Okay, so
take it away.
Just jump in anytime. But I wanted to just let people know. So I've always been someone that's focused on the international, national sphere. And, you know, you got to think globally and act locally. And Dan inspired me yet again on that, because Dan's the only person not only confronting national figures, but he's also confronting the local people and doing the research there. So recently, you know, I've been deciding, why don't I know all these local people? So I've been going through meticulously and making files about all of our state reps, and I'm going to go through DCYF, I'm going to go through the Senate, I'm going to go through everybody, and I already have dozens of files made, and I'm going to continue to make them. And there's some crazy connections, some crazy corruption going on here. And then so the first person I delved into was Gina Raimondo. We're going to come up on a break, but I'll tease it really quick, because Gina Raimondo is not just the governor of some tiny state here in Rhode Island. She's not just, you know, running this small little population, because she has some very, very interesting, crazy ties, and I'll talk about that. And she is also the head of the National Governors Association. So she's in a very prominent place. She's been talked about for a very long time. And so we'll get into that after the break. But, and I really think, though, that if we expose Gina Raimondo, if we expose what's going on with these missing kids here in Rhode Island, one, we can get justice for them. Two, hopefully we can stop it happening again. But three, some of these ties to the quote-unquote deep state, I never use that term, but that's what people say now.
Well, when you look at it, man, like when she ran for governor the first time, right? No governor I know had 2 first ladies, 2 presidents, and the Pope endorse her. Come to Rhode Island and say, hey, listen, vote for Gina Raimondo. We're like, okay. So right away, I'm like, I got a hunch about this girl. I looked her name up on the Council of Foreign Relations. Bam, there she was. A prominent member on the Council of Foreign Relations. She had huge ties with the Clintons. She's best friends with both Clintons. I mean, she had her bags packed for Washington. But you know what happened with that when Hillary lost? She got slaughtered, actually. But she had her bags packed. She had no intentions for running for re-election. But yeah, we got a break coming up in about 30 seconds, whatever. And so when we get back, we're going to dive right into Governor Raimondo. And wow, talk about deep state. This is really deep, folks. Right here in the state of Rhode Island. We'll be right back on the Dan Bidondi Show with Dan Bidondi and Will Turbitt. All right, we are back on the Dan Bidondi Show right here at 990WBOB.com in our worldwide headquarters here in Cranston, Rhode Island. Next to me here is Will Turbitt from Demand the Truth. Hopefully, Demand the Truth will be back here on WBOB. But what a great show. Check his stuff out. And so now we're going to dive right into this is Council on Foreign Relations, best friend of Hillary Clinton, just about, God knows what Bill Clinton, I mean, I don't want to get into that. But Governor of Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo, so if you want to take it from here, I mean, Will's done some extensive research. I gave him some information, but man, he really dug some good stuff. I have
33 pages or 34 pages here. Some of that's a lot of them are photos, but I'm obviously not going to give you guys all that. And again, I appreciate you having me here and allowing me to speak. Again, I think Adam Palazzo and everybody here at BOB for just allowing me to even come back here, because I'm not exactly the most lovable character in the world. So anyways, let's get right into it. Gina Raimondo, so she's the governor here in Rhode Island, second term, and watch for her because she can only serve 2 consecutive terms, so she's going to try to do something after this. She's the head of the Democratic Governors Association, but let's start a little bit at the beginning. And actually, let's just talk about the Council on Foreign Relations with me a little bit. So the Council on Foreign Relations was started after World War I, and it was created by people like the Rockefellers.
David Rockefeller is a big new... I butcher his name.
It's a big new Brzezinski. Well, he came later with the Trilateral Commission, but J.P. Morgan, some of these original interests, and Allen Dulles, and then later, like you said, Rockefeller, Brzezinski, and then George Bush. And this group, they've called for some pretty crazy things. They've called for one world government. They've called for doing terrible things to minorities, and it's all there in black and white. So the Council on Foreign Relations is a terrible, terrible group, and Gina Raimondo is a part of that. But she's not only a part of the Council on Foreign Relations, which is an elite group. That's only one of the groups. So not only did she do that, but she went to Harvard. She got her BA there in economics, and she was named 25 years after as, I could be wrong about that date. I believe it was 25 years after, but the chief marshal. And people like FDR have been the chief marshal. That's where you come back, you lead the commencement, and you talk to the people that are there. Not only you give a little speech, but you're like the host of the whole event. And then, not only was she a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, and there's roughly 4,000 members of the Council on Foreign Relations, give or take, worldwide at any given time, but she was also in Oxford, at Oxford, New College in Oxford, she was a Rhodes Scholar. Now, the Rhodes Scholarship is something that Dan's been talking about for a long time, so I'm just going to repeat it to anybody that's not familiar. But Cecil Rhodes, a terrible racist, along with Lord Rothschild, terrible racist, they come together and they want to create, and it's literally in black and white. You can find it there in Lord Rothschild's will, and Cecil, the whole Rhodes Scholarship was to create a pure white British race, and it wasn't even until the 70s. This is 100 years after that they let women and black people finally get this award due to this scholarship due to backlash. And the Rhodes Scholarship was a scholarship that was given for a very specific purpose, and that's for this group. I'm not talking about the Illuminati here. I'm talking about a real, actual group, black and white, who have said they want to basically usurp and centralize power and take the whole world under British regime. That is literally what Cecil Rhodes' scholarship was set up to be. Gina Raimondo is also a recipient of that. It looks like we're having a little electricity flare. Dan is famous for being hacked and shut down, so let's hope that's not the case here. But it's terrible winds out here in Cranston, Rhode Island. This is really, really crazy the last couple of days. But yeah, so she's a Rhodes Scholar. And not only that, so the Rhodes Scholarship was set up to help create, to help foster this racist British Empire. And it still continues to be. And only a small amount of people are Rhodes Scholars. Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar. So only certain prominent people are Rhodes Scholars, and they're usually chosen to advance the idea of the scholarship. So that doesn't seem as any coincidence there. But then when she was there studying for her Rhodes at Oxford, she basically was tutored by this guy named Stephen Nicol from the London School of Economics, and that's a part of that was created by the Fabian Society. And the Fabian Society are the Fabian Socialists who basically want to overthrow all government and help this whole thing. So it's all there in black and white. Then she went to Yale too, and then you were talking about earlier about the whole Michael Cohen case, and she clerked for Kimball Wood, the federal judge there in New York. And that was the judge there that oversaw the Michael Cohen case. She too studied at the London School of Economics, created by the Fabian Socialists. And then she also has a very atypical, I guess you could say, democratic path. You know, Democrats, especially nowadays, she is a Democrat. She's somebody that, you know, is very engaging to big business. She herself was a venture capitalist, and she created Rhode Island's very first venture capitalist firm, Point Judith Capital, and they've had backing from people like Bain Capital, and Bain Capital, that's where they got their assets and their money from. They're behind some of the biggest corporations out there. They were also involved in the whole Mitt Romney thing.
She was also, her and her husband, Moffat there, they were also rated in the Forbes magazine as one of the top power couples in the country. That's dangerous. I mean, like, to even think about that. And these people are pure. And you know, I'm sick of her speech every time she gets up. My daughters always say, "Mom, Governor, what could you do about these gun shootings?" You know what I mean? Like these school shootings. Yeah, the same thing every time. You know.
Well, it's ridiculous. And let's just jump quickly back into the whole gun thing, because people say, "Oh, if we just ban guns," and don't get me wrong, there's most of the people that are saying that argument. They're good-hearted and they think, "Well, if we just take care of the guns." Well, you know, they banned the guns in China, and a couple months ago, somebody stabbed like 21, 22 people. Same thing happens in England, only they stab you, they throw it. Now acid attacks are everywhere. They're actually talking about banning knives, and liberals always will point to Australia as a place where they took all the guns and the gun crime is down. That is true. Some of the numbers are down. However, the people that control the guns are the biker gangs and some of the criminal mafia aspects there. And so they're dominating things. Same thing in Chicago. They took all the guns away from Chicago, and only the bad people have guns in Chicago. And there's more murders there in 2 hours than there is in a whole year here in Providence. So that should just tell you right away. People don't go into... there's far less muggings in Texas. There's far less home invasions in Texas because they know everybody's packing. So you're not going to... It's like an unarmed victim, you know?
When I was in Texas, in Austin, one of the banks we had, Alex had his account with for the payroll, but we went to cash a check there, man, and the tellers had guns, they had armed security, and people walking there with firearms. I mean, like, who the hell's going to rob that bank? When you got 40 people with firearms, even if you had 5 people going there with, you know, rifles, people got to, yeah, right, bang. You're not getting nothing. But we got to go to break in about a minute, and we're getting blinky power over here. It's crazy. But
let me just say this, too, to back you up. You're talking about how they were named one of the power couples. They were also, Gina Raimondo herself was number 38 on Fortune's World Greatest Leaders. Okay? That's a big deal, and that was years ago.
But got ranked, what, one of the worst governors in this country?
Yep. And then, so like you said, she was also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, but also she was a member of the Aspen Institute. That's another one of these globalist eugenics organizations founded by the Carnegie Corporation, the Rockefeller Brothers Foundation, the Bill Gates Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the same groups, these same people who have openly written. David Rockefeller, in his autobiography on page 406, openly admits what he wants to do. These people are written in black and white. They say they want to destroy
they're white
this country.
pages. I mean, you read the white pages. You know what I mean? They openly say what they're going to do.
So Gina Raimondo is working for these people who have openly admitted that they want to destroy the United States. Yep. So it's black and white right there.
Exactly. But we do got to go to a break, and hopefully the power stays on when we get back. But we're going to go to a break, and this is Dan Bidondi, the Dan Bidondi Show, and Will Turbitt. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back here on the Dan Bidondi Show with my guest, Will Turbitt. Check me out, truthradioshow.com is all my local listens, at Twitter, at Dan Bidondi. And we're rolling here in the state of Rhode Island. Things are picking up, and now it's the time for us to take action here in the state of Rhode Island, and we're coming out hardcore. We are coming out hardcore. We got a lot of great patriots in the state here. We mentioned them earlier, and people are just coming out. I mean, it's great. I mean, you could feel... Even though we got slaughtered in the elections, but it doesn't matter, you could feel the surge of change here in the state of Rhode Island. People are taking action, getting angry. I mean, the gun people, for example. People are sick and tired of having to go to the State House to defend our rights. And people, you know, we're putting them on notice. We've been putting them on notice that, listen, you're not taking our damn guns, or you're going to have another 1776, plain and simple. We're not giving them an inch, okay? Enough is enough. And that, like I said in my speech last year, it went mega viral. It was awesome. And it actually encouraged people in other states to stand up and do something. And I'm so honored to even be part of somebody watching my speech and inspiring them to do such things. You know what I mean? And, but we need to put these people on notice. Listen, we're not giving you can't vote out the Second Amendment. The debate's already been done 245 years ago, 243 years ago. That debate was already settled. You know what I mean? You are not touching the Second Amendment, or basically over our dead bodies, or you'll have another 1776. It's your choice. You want to take our guns? Come try it. Plain and simple. You don't have enough military. You don't have enough police. You don't have enough forces to even touch the American people. Most of the military and police, hopefully, would be on our side. But we don't. Nobody wants none of that. We're not calling for that. But we need people to stand up, vicious and peacefully, for the Second Amendment. Plain and simple. And you switch gears back to Mrs. Raimondo here, which is a huge gun grabber. Man, she makes me sick to my stomach. And I do. I can't, much as I can't stand her, I do pray for the woman. I do. I especially pray for her 2 daughters. I'm sorry, her son and her daughter, your kids. Okay, I pray for her kids that they do not grow up anything like their mother and father. I really pray for them. God bless those kids. But go ahead, Will. I'm sorry.
So yeah, before the break, I was talking about the fact that Gina Raimondo is a part of these elite scholarships, these elite societies that have openly stated their intentions to destroy America, that they are pro-white, they're anti-minority, and that they want to take our rights and they want to centralize power. It's literally in black and white. And Gina Raimondo is a member of these organizations. Not only is she a member of these organizations, she's actively taken steps to restrict our rights. And on top of that, she's getting she's got donations from the Sackler family, and there was everybody was up in arms about that, which is a family related to some of the opioid crisis by virtue of them being part of Big Pharma, and people wanted her to return that money. Now it's coming out that she's gotten donations from people pretending to be lobbyists, and it's actually money from the strip club. So I just wanted to paint that picture quickly before the break of just to give you a context of who you're dealing with here. And I'm not the most, like I said earlier, delicate and lovable guy, but I do try to go through the proper channels. So I have emailed Gina Raimondo. I do have the screenshots right here on my laptop. I have emailed her numerous times. I've called her office. I've also, the last time I confronted Gina Raimondo about this, because I was not getting any responses with the emails, was, some guy named Joe Sack, or one of her press guys over there. He said, here, just send me an email. So I sent him an email. Well,
when she did come up to you, what happened? She had a goons push because they didn't want her answering a question. They pushed you. I seen that. They jumped in front of you. She came up to you and was going to talk to you. And
yeah, so the reason I'm even confronting her in the first place is because I'm sending her emails, I'm calling people, I'm calling local reps, I'm getting in touch with her people, and I'm saying, hey, look, in DCYF in 2015 alone, according to an article from RI, which I will put in the comments here, we have 45 missing kids. DCYF is Child Protective Services here. It's the Department of Children, Youth, and Families here. They're the people responsible for protecting children. So in Rhode Island, the smallest state in the union, when we lose 45 kids from the people that are supposed to be protecting our kids, something is seriously afoot here. And then we've had recent things where kids have been dying in DCYF care. Not only that, but we've had, there was the Blackstone Collaborative, I forget the exact name, but something Blackstone Youth Collaborative, something like that. They had to cut ties because it turned out DCYF workers were taking underage girls and running them for prostitution and using them to sell drugs. So I'm just asking I said, hey, and I've asked Gina Raimondo probably 5 times now to her face. The first 3 or 4 times I say, hey, Mr. Raimondo, can I please have a word about this, like Dan is saying? And she stays there and she won't say anything. Now, I'm not an elected official, and I would never run for office. But if I did, and some random person was coming up to me asking about missing kids, I would say, well, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but my highest priority is the children. I will definitely look into that, and I'll just assure you that no matter what, my priority is protecting kids. Even if I was lying, I would say that. But she didn't say that. She stays shut. So the last time I went and confronted her was at the State House, and everybody was wearing red that day, and I just happened to be wearing red also. Sometimes I'll go to the State House more often than not and wear a suit, and I will wear a cheap suit just to look more important than I actually am, and hopefully people will take me a little more credible and field some more of my answers. So it's like playing dress up. But that day I was like, it's really damn cold. It's like 11 degrees outside, so I'm going to put on my red hat and my red shirt and my red sneakers because my favorite color is red. And so I guess she didn't recognize me because I was wearing, and I usually go to the State House with the suit, but I had a backwards hat and a leather jacket and wearing red just like all the other people there that were told to wear red for that rally there that day. So she came up to me, she shook my hand, hey, because I pretended like I was taking a picture of her, taking a picture of somebody else, came up to me, shook my hand, hey, Mr. Raimondo, how are you? She said, hey, and I was like, hey, I just wanted to know about the kids. And as soon as that happens, members of the media, like Dan was saying, were coming up, shoving me, pushing me, hey, like, the funny thing about it is I'm just some skinny kid, but if I was Ted Nesi or Tim White or one of these other people getting up in the face somebody, people would be cheering me on. Yeah. But the thing is, it's not about me getting cheered on. It's about 45 missing kids in 2015 alone. We can't let this happen. Even if we can't find those 45 kids, there's been more and more missing every single year. Kids dying, kids being shipped out for prostitution on record in the news here. And when is enough is enough. We need to start a plan to stop this from happening. So we need to call for investigation. So you guys all need to email Raimondo and all your state reps. We need an investigation into these missing kids. Because are you going to wait till it's your kid to start going looking for it? Are you going to wait till someone rapes and steals your kid? Or are you going to be a little proactive about this? Keep in mind, DCYF is being paid by your tax money. So you are... Imagine if I had a house, which I don't, but I had a house and I hired Dan. I say, hey, Dan, you're a painter. Come paint my house. And let's say Dan didn't come, painted one wall, got drunk, and fell over on the paint and started a fire. Would you pay Dan? No, but we're still paying DCYF, and they're and that's even worse than starting a fire. There's missing kids here. So one of the things I wanted to briefly talk about too is these DCYF courts. And there was one person, and I will give her credit. Her name is Jennifer Bogdan. She was a writer for Projo, and she was the toughest critic out of them all when it came to what's happening with the DCYF issues here. And then Gina Raimondo basically hired her and made her a director of communications. So the only person that was on this trail was Jennifer Bogdan. Now, people that don't know about CPS and DCYF courts, the interesting thing about them is they're not a traditional court. So you go in there, there's no jury, there's no cameras, it's just a judge. And the crazy thing about DCYF and CPS is there's no search warrant. There's no constitution whatsoever. So if I don't have a child, but if I had a child named Bob and I sent him to school today and he had mismatched socks or his hair was a little messed up, or if they asked Bob, "Hey Bob, did you eat breakfast today?" and he said no, but even if he did eat breakfast, they could come to my house and take my kid away from me. There's no going to the judge for a warrant. There's no probable cause. They can go to your house and take your kid. Then they can take you to a court, not a judge, just a judge. There's no jury of your peers, and they can take your kids away from you without that. So we need one to make sure that if they're going to come take your kids away from you, you better have evidence and a warrant that was given to a judge for you to come.
You better have an army too.
Yeah, for real. I mean, geez, I'm a peaceful person, but if I had a kid and someone tried to forcibly take my kid away from me, that's a line in the sand right there for me personally. And then thirdly, the crazy thing about it is, and I've encountered this many times because people reach out to me all the time because I've been on this DCYF issue for quite a while now, and I've talked to many people about it. The interesting thing is, a lot of times, and I can just give you one example off the top of my head, where there was a girl and she gave birth and they told her, hey, get on, she had postpartum depression, and they're like, here, take these drugs. And these drugs made her all messed up. And so she was messed up, so they took her kid, and instead of giving it to her sister, who's a social worker, instead of giving it to her mother, or instead of giving it to a grandmother, they gave it to a random family, and that kid was abused. So we need to, one, make sure that you have probable cause and a warrant before they take the kids. Two, open up the courts. Because if you're going to take my kid away, it better damn well be by a jury of my peers, not just some corrupt judge.
Yeah.
And number three, if you do take my kids away from me, then it better go to a grandma or a family member, not some random person that's going to do it. So those are the three main solutions I have. So if you want to put that in an email or even a letter or even a phone call, say, hey, this is what we can do to make things better. Because like I said, Dan and I are the only two people right now talking out about this, because the only other lady was Jennifer Bogdan from Projo, and then she was hot on the trail of DCYF, and guess what? Now she works for Gina Raimondo, and she has shut up about the missing kids. So she sold out. She got bought off.
Well, it's like that typical here in Rhode Island. The media is all like the same, you know. But I don't want to get into the HPV because this whole thing altogether with the vaccines. But long story short, all the media were told when they showed up at the first public hearing, don't show up again, shut up about it, because it was bringing a lot of attention. And I was the only media that got that did show up. I got threatened. Well, you came too. And I got threatened. I got my firearm permit taken away by the state. No reason. They said it was a clerical error, whatever. They tried to make some cockamamie excuse, and it's like pulling teeth to get my concealed firearms permit back. And I went to hell because they tried to hit me in the pocket. First, they tried to get me arrested, which I made no such threats, and even the state police sided with me, said, you didn't do nothing wrong. And but these people are vicious. They'll come out every which way. They'll attack you in the pocket, whatever they have to do to keep, try to shut you up. But, it's been how many years now? They haven't shut me up yet, and they're not shutting Will up. They're not shutting us up, because now we got an army of people out there taking action, and we need double that.
Let's just say this right clear, because a couple people have actually requested me to say this,
yep.
And let's just make it absolutely clear right now. Me and Dan were definitely no male models, but we're in pretty decent health, right?
Yeah.
Would you ever kill yourself?
No, absolutely not.
I would never kill myself. We're in pretty good health here. And just know if
I would never harm anybody else.
And I would never harm anybody else. Now, if somebody comes over here punching me in the face, I'm going to defend myself.
Oh,
Somebody starts hurting my mom, I'm defending myself. But besides that, we're entirely about peace. So if they ever try to make something up about me, or if something happens to us, investigate and just realize what I was saying was probably authentic. But I have no plans on doing anything harmful to myself or anyone else. So let's just make that absolutely clear.
Oh yeah, you know, when we changed the course of history in the States, great, because we stopped the mandatory vaccines, we stopped you know, the gun control. We're stopping, hopefully, the up-to-date birth abortion. We're hopefully just going to, you know, keep things the way they're going here in Rhode Island in the good way, you know, the good parts of it. But the, you know, politics, forget it, it's all bought and paid for. And even people in the top of the Republic that, like Brandon Bell, the Ken Blocks, they're all bought and paid for, paid opposition.
So it's come out that Russell Taub is this big con man too. He's the Republican here. It doesn't make a difference if you're Democrat
why the
or Republican.
Yeah,
they're all the same. It's a monkey show,
and
you can't be on either one of the sides. But it's talking about the corruption here in Rhode Island.
Well, I have to say there are good politicians here in Rhode Island, like Sherry Roberts, Blake Philippi, Justin Price, Mike Chippendale, Bobby Notarillo, and Sal Ciozo. There are good people here in Rhode Island. But both parties at the top here in Rhode Island, both work with each other. They're bought and paid for, plain and simple.
Yeah, and no, just people don't. Just to give some people a little bit of a backdrop and some texture to what's going on here. Rhode Island is a famously corrupt state. ABC News a couple of decades ago, even before Gordon Fox, the previous Speaker of the House, got, for the first time in Rhode Island State House history, got his office raided. Even before that, we had corruption with Buddy Cianci going on. And even before that, ABC did a piece saying that Rhode Island was, and Sam Donaldson did a piece saying that Rhode Island was the most corrupt state in the Union. I mean, we have going back in the 70s, the head of the Supreme Court here in Rhode Island was either directly connected to the mafia or a member of the mafia himself, and he was up there controlling things. A member of the mafia was controlling things for 10 years before he was finally taken down. And then even going on to this day, we have this guy, Mr. Casal, who he basically, according to an indictment from a grand jury, went to a woman's house, threw her on the ground, tried to rape her, masturbated in her face, threw $20 at her, and said, "Here, take your kid out to eat." According to the Johnston Police Department, the semen on her pajamas matched his semen. Then she died of a pulmonary embolism, and then the Attorney General at that time, Kilmartin, said, "Oh, I guess we're not going to prosecute you because the only witness against you is dead." And that guy's a state rep, former cop, and then he was caught living in the address where he's supposed to, and then he ran for state rep again, and he was endorsed by the local Democrats. Carnival, yeah, Carnival. Yeah. I mean, that's just one, and I could go on for so many examples. Rhode Island is famously corrupt, and we really need people, not only here in Rhode Island, but worldwide, to take some action. If we
governors one after another, man, like the Republicans, was Kacheri at the time, the Republican governor we had, the last one, just as corrupt as Gina Raimondo. I mean, and Chafee, which I supported at the time he was running as independent, and he had some great ideas. We even support him, had it on the radio show and everything, and he turns coat and joins the Democratic Party, sells our state out to Agenda 21 with the roadmap thing and everything else. But we got to go to a break. When we come back with a final segment, we're going to get quickly into what's going on Thursday here at the State House and how it's important to you. And we'll be right back on the Dan Bidondi Show with Dan Bidondi and Will Turbitt. Okay, we're back in our last segment here, Dan Bidondi and Will Turbitt for the Dan Bidondi Show right here. So what we got going here in Rhode Island Thursday, and we're calling people from Mass, Connecticut, Rhode Island, wherever you could come from, to show up at the Rhode Island State House at 3:30 p.m. We're having a pro-Second Amendment rally because what's going on Thursday is one of the many anti-gun bill legislations being heard, which this Thursday is just a taxation. The governor wants to impose 10% additional tax to guns and ammunition, and they've been trying this for years. The same exact bill over and over again. It fails miserably. It really does. So does that mean we just don't show up? No, we show up in bigger numbers because when it fails, we're just showing up as victory. I mean, it's amazing. And we've been beating these bastards for years, and we need to do it again. And it's going to be the hearing's going to be in room 35 at 4 p.m., and it'll be take place in the Rhode Island State House, of course. But man, they're going to try to pose a 10% additional tax on guns and ammunition. And where does the money go? It goes into the governor's pocket. Basically, it goes into the state. That has nothing to do. Now, the thing is, I'd say, all right, if you want to pose a tax, right, to pay for armed guards, armed teachers, whatever in our schools, I'll be all for it. But most of this money is going to go to anti-gun legislation.
Well, not only that, I mean, just to briefly jump in, there's so much missing money. She's got a $9.9 billion budget that she wants to introduce. We've got hundreds of millions of dollars missing in the Department of Transportation, and also we got money missing in the 911 program. So we got all this missing money. We don't even know where the hell it's going.
$400 million when she was general treasurer, state treasurer, whatever. And, so it's ridiculous. And so, but there's going to be an onslaught of bills, because every year what they do, they strategically do this. Because at first it was a couple of bills where everything they wanted to do, they fail. So what they do is they start splitting up the language, putting them into different bills. Now, mind you, like last year what they did, they took a bill. On the cover, the bill sounds great. And, basically don't judge a book by its cover. They make the bill, oh, look, it's for this or that. But when you actually read into it, they slip in some of the gun language. And to try to sneak some of that in there. So they split it all up to put it in different, good bills, but they slip in the anti-gun language to corrupt them. And we have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. The Rhode Island Second Amendment does this. And it says, hey, you got to take line X and X out because that's unconstitutional. So what she wants to do overall, she wants to take away the semi-automatics, what they call military assault-style weapons. I got an AR-15. That's the number one. They got a hard-on for the AR-15. They really do. So they want to take them off the shelves. And I own an AR-15. Anybody would ever want to use a combat weapon, you would not want an AR-15. I mean, it leaves the holes the size of a .22. Why would you even want something like that? And the barrel heats up too quick, too. So if you would actually want a good combat weapon, be it like an AK-47 and so on. But anyway, it's not even the point. You cannot at all take away people's Second Amendment. It's an infringement. Then 30-round magazines, she wants to ban high-capacity magazines down to 10. And look at the states, like I said before, what they do is they want to take them all. So they incrementally attack it. So the states that only have 10 rounds now they're talking about dropping it to 5 rounds now. And soon, I'm telling you right now, that's the way they're trying to do it. So they just say they ban the military, quote-unquote, whatever, style weapons. Next is the calibers. Oh, you can't own a shotgun. You can't own anything over a .357. You can't own the 9mm. Then all of a sudden you can own a single shot .22. Then that will be gone. You know what I mean? So they can't stand the fact that the American people have more firearms than all the police in the country, all the military in the country. They can't stand that. That's what you call freedom, folks. The day when your military has more firepower than the public, that's dangerous. The day when your police departments have more firearms than the public, that's dangerous.
I actually remember that happening one time. I think it was Nazi Germany. And then it happened again in Soviet Russia. And then it happened in Mao and then Pol Pot. And then, so, I mean, the guns are a basic bulwark to protect you from tyrannical people. All these people out here that think because Trump is crazy and they hate him, well, why would you want him and his military to have all the guns? That sounds really dumb. And just quickly, too, I mean, you're saying, oh, they'll never take our gun rights away from you. But you know what, Dan? They've taken our First Amendment. They've taken basically our third or fourth amendment's out the window, completely gone. The 9th and 10th amendments are pretty much gone. I mean, systematically, they've went through and taken our Bill of Rights away.
Look how they do with the 10th Amendment, the states' rights. All right, you can have your states' rights, but you can't do this like the Real ID Act. Well, she's pushing Gina Raimondo, the Real ID here this year. Basically, you have to due date. Oh, sure, you don't have to get it, but you can't fly. You can't go on trains. You can't do this. So what they do is they say, oh, you can have your states' rights, but you can't have federal funding. You can't have this. You can't. They extort you. Plain and simple.
It's exactly it's extortion. And like you said, these people just need to realize whether it's the 1st, the 2nd, the 8th, 9th, 10th. If we don't, rights are like muscles, and if you don't exercise and flex them, they're going to be gone. They're almost gone. And the reason that Dan has been busting his ass up here for decades, and the reason I have been spending the majority of my free time on this for a long time is I truly think that if we don't do something in the near future, it's going to be past the point of no return. I mean, people argue if America was ever great or that's a great argument for another day. But let me tell you one thing for sure. there are some good things about America. And the good things about America, and there's a bunch of bad. Dan and I have been exposing that for many, many years. So we do that. But there are some good things about America. And the good things are slowly going bye-bye. And they will go bye-bye unless you guys do something peaceful about it.
And every generation needs a revolution, said Thomas Jefferson. And the guy is right. I hate to say it, and because what you're seeing going on is insane. But you notice people come out and when you think everything's just all doom and gloom, people come out of the woodwork when their backs are against the wall. That's the good part of America. No matter what's going on, who's in the White House, whatever, when it comes to push and shove, when Americans' backs are against the wall, people come out and they come out firing, plain and simple. So, like, I hate to say that. I hate because people say you're talking extreme, but if you think I'm extreme, you have no idea what the Founding Fathers would do. If they came alive today, 99% of all politicians in the country...
Our country was created on the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even have a damn country if we didn't have a Second Amendment.
If they came back alive today, they'd be at the end of the rope tomorrow.
No,
yeah, I mean,
they burnt, here in Rhode Island, we were the first, we burned down the Gaspee, the British ship, then we tossed tea over, then Lexington and Concord, over 3% tax. It's over 40% tax now. Our Bill of Rights are gone. And I'm not advocating violence, but our founding fathers would have already been in a war.
She's trying to push a 10% tax additional onto firearms.
Just give all the bad people that are racist and hate America your guns. It'll be okay. It's First
unreal.
Amendment.
But I just want to close with this, man. And first of all, thank you, Will, for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me. Quickly, Dan, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for helping develop my career. Thank you to B.O.B. You guys have really, really helped. And to people out there, just keep up the good fight and send an email. Be a part of the fight. Be the man or woman or trans in the arena.
And so I just want to say a stern message out to every lawmaker in the state of Rhode Island. We are not just slaves, okay? If you want our guns, 1776 will begin again. That's no doubt about that. This is not just a threat, but a promise as well. You come dare to try, you don't have enough people, okay? The American gun owners know this, okay? There's not a damn standing army on the friggin' planet that could stop you. 100+ million Americans with firearms. We have more firearms than even China's military. We have more people than China. We are the largest standing army, the most armed standing army. Let that sink in and put it to action. Stop flexing your damn muscles. Stop listening to these peeny little peep squeaks in the state houses. Say we're going to take your guns and we're going to install slavery. We're not just slaves. I'll die on my feet before I live on my knees, scumbags. Okay? And 1776 will begin again, you son of a bitches.
And if you don't protect the First Amendment, the Second Amendment won't be there. So go use your First Amendment to defend the Second, Third, Fourth, and the 10th.
To me, that's the only mistake that the Founding Fathers made. They should have made the Second Amendment the first, because without the Second, you don't have the rest, plain and simple.
Pretty much.
And we're not giving that up without a fight, plain and simple. And we got more firepower than any force out there, plain and simple. And we need
I don't know, the Ninja Turtles are pretty badass, but that's maybe the only one.
But anyway, yeah, guys, thank you for joining us. Will Turbitt here for Demand of Truth. Hopefully be back on WBOB. And Dan Bidondi here for the Dan Bidondi Show. We'll be doing some more shows here on WBOB as well. So hit me up, truthradioshow.com, at Dan Bidondi at Twitter. And at Will Turbitt, I believe, Twitter.
Yep, find me on Backpage.
Yeah, God bless
just
you
kidding.
guys.
Just Google my name, Will Turbitt, Turbitt.
God bless.
Email the governor of Rhode Island.
Yeah. Resistance is victory. Declaring war on the New World Order. TruthRadioShow.com.